into the harness there.
So it's going to slide it on board here.
Yeah. John Edmund was very proud of the fact that that whole A-frame and lift facility was built in Scotland. He's a Scottish guy.
Nice. Well, it looks pretty sturdy. Not like in China.
Yeah.
They built it in the last 2 years, apparently.
Yeah.
Do you remember what other question Alvin wanted to ask?
No.
I can't remember. I feel like there was one more. I think it was something like, did you see a megalodon or something? Something kind of silly
No
like that.
megalodons.
Or, was it like, did you see any whales or sharks or anything? Maybe it was something more like
Nope.
that.
Nothing, no big mammals on this trip.
No cetaceans.
And all of a sudden,
It's working.
it's working beautifully.
Don't jinx it.
I'm not going to touch it. That's good because you'll get to see the samples come out.
Yeah, that was something we wondered about because I was like, well, if you open a box underwater, things float out of it. So you wouldn't want to keep opening and closing the same box over and over and over.
Yeah, well, most of the things we pick up are pretty heavy.
Okay, that's a good point.
But if you brought a tube worm up or something like that that was intact at that pressure, if you brought it up, wouldn't it explode?
Not necessarily. They're mostly water. They don't have much gas in them, and so water is
Same.
basically incompressible.
Like that didn't explode open.
But that's a lot of air in there. That's
Yeah.
a lot of gas. But you're saying after it had been smushed, it didn't.
It did not.
It didn't
smush.
explode when
Did
it
not
came back
smush,
up.
okay.
No. Now we're back to the old. Would you like to go down in Alvin?
No.
No.
No, you don't
Why
think so?
not?
I want to go down.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, it sounds just scary. But then I thought, like, if you had been working for like months to prep, you know, and this is going to answer some questions,
Exactly.
then I
Mhm.
think that might outweigh
Yeah.
the scare factor.
Are they still sending people down?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But you know, from my
That's what
experience
she said,
of being in Alvin and looking at the TV screen most of the time, you can do almost everything Alvin can do with a remote vehicle.
Yeah. Remote vehicle has less loss factor.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot cheaper. They can stay down much longer. They can go under ledges
Yeah.
that
I'm
you
gonna
wouldn't.
just-
It's
So
not
here we are
necessarily
getting out
cheaper.
finally. Emerging from Alvin.
Are your legs wobbly?
Yeah, yeah. You don't have seats there. You sprawled out
Huh.
on a blanket.
I didn't know that. And the pilot have a seat?
Pilot has a seat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you feel like that would get uncomfortable.
He has this little chair. Right in
Just
front
like
of
this.
Control.
And Deborah, the woman in the tape, the scientist, married a pilot.
Like an Alvin pilot?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
So you totally trust them.
Yeah.
And what was her research?
Same. She was more of a geologist, so we were putting together the work that I do with radioisotopes and the work that she does with mineralogy and geology.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. I guess that's actually me getting, is that me?
Blue
I
sweater.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
The hair sticking up.
Things you have to worry about when you're on the Alvin, not having hair stick up.
Right. First thing you gotta do is put your shoes on.
Do you have them down with you?
No.
No, they gave them
brought
to you.
They
Yeah.
brought them, yeah. Yeah, before you go down, you take in, extra sweater and blanket and socks. I'd forgotten to put my socks in, so I had to carry them with me. And a lunch bag, and
Yeah,
you have all of that stuff that you put in
ahead of time.
the before the dive. Yeah.
So did you get really cold even though you were prepared? It was
Yes.
still
It
really
was
cold.
Still cold. It was still cold.
The pilot must not mind it that much if he goes down in it all the time.
Yeah, they get used to it. Not a bad job.
Oh, I guess not. Now, is he the one that did work the arm?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He did the arms and the sampling and drove the core.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we actually published a paper on our
Oh, wow.
cruise. Okay, now you see John is grabbing the water samples immediately because he wants to make sure that they.
Don't get
Okay, there's the Cora. And these are the baskets
Oh,
in
yeah.
there that have different samples in it. Now I'm checking out some of the rock
Geiger?
samples with the Geiger counter to see how radioactive they are.
Did you
But-
find anything?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, they were.
Because this is actually a gamma counter that we could operate with the arm and search around for rocks that had a lot of radium on them.
They probably used that when they went and checked the hydrogen bomb too. You can tell me about that, the unexploded hydrogen bomb. They
Yeah,
had exploded too?
yeah.
Yeah, there's a counter.
And there's the rock sample.
And what kind of rock was it? Basalt?
It's basalt.
Yeah.
And but with veins of copper and iron and. Oh, now it's really working. See there, it's got.
It was about half there. I could see.
Yeah, it's pegged up there. And there's the core, so I'm checking whether that had much radioactivity in it. And you can see this is how far the core went in. We had tape at something like 10 centimeter intervals, and so we could tell how far we'd gone into the structure.
How do you pronounce Juan de Fuca?
Juan de Fuca,
There we go. Marshall and I were arguing about how to pronounce it the other day.
Don Juan. Okay, so they're all grabbing samples now. They'll be coming into the lab and putting them on the table. And
free samples.
Hardly.
not free.
Definitely not.
Is this just a rock that was down there you just picked up?
Yes.
Okay.
Part of the chimney.
Oh, that's okay. That's really cool. Alvin, can you remember what questions you wanted to ask Uncle Billy? Oh, I can't remember either. I know there was one. Yeah, ask him
You have
how
to
they first
catalog
found the
everything that you collect.
How the first were able to measure the temperatures. Look at that. That's beautiful.
How were you able to measure the temperatures?
Not him. The very
For,
first time.
The very first time
He was telling me about
of
it the other day. It's
hydrothermal
really
vents.
Well, okay, now they're taking the water sample out of the sampler, and so we'll put that into different tubes for different analyses. So John is the expert on this. He actually developed this sampler. And it's all made of titanium. Interesting question. The first time, the water was only 20-something degrees. So a regular thermistor, you know, you could tell the temperature. And then when they discovered the really high temperature event, they had a thermistor that they put into it. It melted.
Too hot.
This is metal, you know, object. They just watched it disintegrate in front of them.
They're like, "Here,
And then
let's
they
eat."
realized that they were watching this through a plexiglass window. And plexiglass melts at a pretty low temperature.
Compared to steel or something.
They immediately backed up. But then the way that they didn't have anything on the ship that would go to that high a temperature. They figured it had to be at least 200 degrees to melt this thing that they were using. But
How did they measure it now then?
But if you take different metals, they have different melting points. So they assembled all the different metals they
Like
could
in this kind of
From
lab on the ship.
from the ship, and they suspended them in front.
Wow.
So if it melted, it was hotter than that.
Hotter
If
than
it
that,
didn't
melted.
melt, it was lower than that.
Wow.
And so they narrowed the range to, you know, close to 350.
Wow.
And then there are thermistors that go that high.
Yeah, they just didn't have them with them.
They just didn't, yeah. They didn't really expect to find John's prediction that soon.
Wow.
And that's his student, Hetty Edmonds, who is now head of chemical oceanography at NSF.
Oh wow.
So
She like a postdoc here?
she was in graduate school. That was her very first cruise.
Oh cool.
She's figuring out what it's all about. You know, I think that's this is about as far as I have watched this. Oh, Jenny, you know who that is in the back? Hussein.
That's Hussein?
Yeah. He was working with Tom Church at the
Oh,
time,
right.
and I had invited Tom to come, and
Where's Hussein now?
I'm not sure where he is now.
This is it under the water.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take this and read it and send it
Oh, you
back
can
to
have
you?
that. No,
Can we?
that's yours.
Oh,
that's
that's so
yours.
cool.
Yeah.
Look, there's the sample basket. Oh, we can.